Maggie, thank you very much for your time this Sunday afternoon. Let's work firstly on the assumption that our South African borders are going to remain open for South Africans to travel to destinations on the continent, and that interprovincial local travel bans will not be imposed by the government. What are you hoping to see in terms of domestic and continental travel numbers?
Good afternoon, Hanley, and thank you so much for having me today. I know there is enthusiasm to travel by our domestic tourists, but we need more local people to explore tourism products offered in our country. Recently, research says that searches for domestic travel options and affordable travel deals are up by over 22% since the start of the lockdown. So I think this number can greatly be increased by finding ways to be creative and flexible with the travel offerings for those who are traveling within South Africa and across the region in Africa. And I think success should come down to how the industry packages experiences for our local tourists.
Absolutely. We're looking at a situation where many people might already have made travel plans for the festive season. Some of those travel plans will no longer be possible. Lots of people waiting anxiously to find out whether any of that money is likely to be refunded. And perhaps local and continental destinations have a wonderful opportunity now to try and draw in those tourists and redirect people. Do you think that's feasible given where we are in the year? Is there still time to make new plans?
Yes, definitely. And for me, I think domestic travel is the bedrock of the tourism industry in South Africa. And in order for us to keep the struggling tourism industry going, we need to focus on the domestic and regional markets. And while authorities are monitoring the risk of Omicron spread, I think let's encourage more South Africans to be tourists in their own country and to enjoy that which attracts millions of foreign tourists each year. I think focusing on these markets will help us build confidence for global travelers, so that when the international borders eventually open, we will be able to attract international travelers as a safe destination. So let's offer discounts and special packages for South Africans and Africans. And I think since COVID began, South African travelers really have stepped up and thrown their support behind tourism industry by booking weekends away and exploring their own country.
Looking a little bit more closely at continental travel, we've seen Rwanda impose mandatory quarantine conditions on travellers from a few African countries where cases of Omicron have been detected. Can we expect more African countries to follow suit? Have there been any sort of rumblings in the industry?
Yes, I think it is possible more countries will follow suit. We've already seen a total ban on South African travelers traveling to Mauritius. So they have completely locked down their borders. No South Africans are allowed to travel there, which is quite a huge disappointment for those who had already booked their trips to Mauritius. And I think, of course, these measures are being taken to limit the spread of the new variant and to protect the gains of Rwanda, and in this case, Mauritius, the gains that they've made so far in managing COVID-19 pandemic and reopening its economy. So it is very possible, and we can expect that from other countries as well.
We've just been having a conversation about mandatory vaccine policies in the workplace and non-essential public spaces. That's going to spill over here into talks of tourism. Obviously, we know about the vaccine passport for international travel. What about continental and local travel? Do you think only the vaccinated should have access to that?
So I think experts are exploring the balance between freedom of choice and community responsibility. But what happens when people opt out? If you decide not to visit your dentist and choose to eat badly or refuse to wear a helmet while cycling, you put yourself at risk, and the direct impact on other people's health is pretty much zero. So with vaccines, the health of your community could be affected. You might catch and spread the infectious disease at schools, in the workplace or public spaces. I think if enough people in a community are vaccinated, in this case in South Africa and the continent, the herd community can be achieved. And this makes it very difficult for infectious diseases to spread because a significant majority of people are protected.
Let's get on to a happy topic. What are some of the top destinations on the continent that South African tourists each year head out to see, just to motivate those who perhaps have not gone out to, let's say, for instance, the Serengeti?
So I think some of the top destinations, obviously, I'll start with South Africa. I just recently come back from Kruger, and I think that's still quite a top destination. You've got other countries like Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls, and of course, you know, if Mauritius is closed, let's look into South Africa. We've got beautiful beaches and beautiful locations that we can visit, Mozambique as well. So there's still something for South Africans and Africans to still travel to for countries that haven't placed the lockdowns in place.
Thank you so much for your time. That was Maggie Mutangiri, Travel Africa Network founder.